All right, welcome back to another episode of Finding Equilibrium. Don't really know co-host-wise if this is basically how it's going to be. I guess we'll find out.
You got
Don't know.
Reno and Lainey.
Hello.
And me, Chris. Hello.
He's still awake.
And our 2-year-old hanging out in the monitor, who is apparently trying to participate in our podcast.
He will in a minute.
Yeah, he'll start talking.
Yeah, but
Anyhow.
tonight we're going to be talking about trust and everything that kind of goes with it. Trusting yourself, trusting the process, trusting your partner, people in your life. Just kind of touching on a little bit of everything that comes with it because, I mean, really this could be like a 6-hour topic, but you just kind of get to the meat and potatoes of it.
Lainey, you want to start us off with a good old definition?
Yep. So the definition of trust is the firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something or someone.
Yeah. Which that would basically cover all the different topics between trusting yourself and other people in the process. And another thing that I'd want to talk about is one is how to build the trust in yourself, because a lot of people don't have that. And then obviously when it comes to trusting other people, you need to give people the benefit of the doubt and just trust them off the bat until they give you a reason not to, but not in the blindly way where it's obvious that you shouldn't.
Kind of like innocent until proven guilty?
Yep.
I guess.
Kind of what it sounds like.
I mean, to a degree, but I mean, prime example is when I got involved in the currency trading. I trusted the guy that I went into business with wholeheartedly, and for, 6 months, me and 6 other people dedicated basically every hour to building this company. Because, I mean, we had contracts in place. Seemed like a no-brainer. The guy seemed cool. We all did, background searches on him and kind of dug around, didn't find anything. And then, 6 months into it, we had built up thousands of clients and thousands of customers. And then shit hit the fan, and we got screwed out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Your hand's covering your face.
And, there were signs after a little while, he was kind of shady, but it was still never, major red flags. So,
Are you talking about the first one or the second one? Are
The
you talking
first
about the Canadian?
yeah, I'm talking about whenever I was with Mentor Tips. Yeah.
I was thinking you were talking about someone else.
No, not at all. But yeah, I mean, there was no reason for me not to trust him, because, I mean, there was tons of positive things all about him all over the internet, and, I mean, the dude had the credibility behind him. It wasn't like he was talking out of his ass. He had the funds to back it up. He had the success, the track record, the news articles and stuff like that. He was just a scumbag. And he kind of played into the fact that we were all young, so he leveraged that to make himself. I mean, I think when it was at its biggest, right before everything fell apart, I think he had 4,000 or 5,000 members, and that was $100 a month coming in from each person.
Damn.
On top of, he had all of us trading, and he had a deal with the brokerage accounts or brokerage company that we were working with. So he was getting a percentage off of the top of every dollar that was traded. So, I mean, at 4,000 people, minimum of $250 going in. Even if you have 1,000 people burn through that $250, there's an extra $250,000 that he was making, because he was taking all of the losses, or 50% of the losses. So anytime anybody lost $1, he was making 50 cents. And we didn't know about any of that until shit started to unravel, and then we kind of blew the top off of everything and went about our separate way. But I also think that that's necessary in life, to kind of get burned by some people. Maybe not to that severity, because, I mean, I was working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like,
I mean, I think for him though, excuse me, karma kind of struck him good / dirty, whichever way you want to look at it though, because like you guys, not just the like 5 of you that there was. Let me state, I thought you were talking about not the 5 of you, but the other person when you guys created the secondary company.
Oh,
the
no.
other person that was like funding. I thought that's what you were meaning,
Oh,
and I
no.
was a little confused there because I misunderstood. But back to where we were, karma kind of struck him though, because he later got mugged and found in a ditch.
yeah.
And that was all over like headline news.
Yeah, and that was kind of like what set it all off, because he was going to do his first in-person event ever, and I mean it was packed. It had people flying from other countries to come to this, and then it came and went, and he never showed up. Nobody heard from him for like 3 days. We all started digging, couldn't find shit. We thought that he just like fucked off somewhere, and then the only major news article that I could find was about some dude being kidnapped, tortured, and found in a ditch. So I was like, you know what? I'm already here. I'm just gonna read it, and it was him. Like, he was leaving the soccer field, and some guys grabbed him up in the parking lot and kept him tied up and tortured him for like 36 hours, and then tied him up and threw him in
Hold
a
up and
ditch
say.
in the middle of the winter time up in Canada. And
He was almost butt naked too.
yeah, no, they stripped him down and hogtied him and kicked him out of a car on the side of a road in the snowbank, and he was just laying there, and it was by sheer luck. I mean, I don't really believe in luck, but it was by like some random guy was driving, and he hit a snowdrift and went over a little bit. When he was trying to get out, he saw him laying there. Like, if that would have happened, he would have been found when it was months later. But that's kind of what kicked it off. We found out about all that, and then that's when the money that was supposed to be coming to us started going all crazy. And
Well, he also like quit connecting and connecting with you guys, and kind of like lost touch, I guess.
yeah, it was shortly after that. Like, obviously, like, we knew that shit was going on, but then when that event happened, that was kind of like the last blow up, because it had led up to where he was kind of being shady for about a month leading up to this, and then different deadlines kept getting pushed back, and different shit kept getting pushed back, and then that all happened, and we were like, fuck it, let's do what we got to do. And we went in and let a couple thousand people know what was going on, let them all know what was really going on behind the scenes. And I think it was within like 24 hours, he went from like, I want to say like either 3,800 or 4,200 members, I can't remember. And he went from that to like 150. Like, everybody canceled and everybody just kind of left. So, but yeah, I mean, I kind of risk to reward. I mean, there's always the possibility you're going to get screwed if you're working with somebody else. Especially if, like, you don't know them. But, I mean, hell, I've worked with people that I knew for years and got screwed over. So, I mean, it's always a possibility. But it's one of those things that you've got to kind of put the what-ifs to the side, because it's more like the what if it works instead of what if this happens. Because, I mean, worst-case scenario, like, I learned a lot of business experience through those couple months. And I learned a lot of what I could actually handle and take on. And so I mean, even though like the outcome was shit, because I mean I'd lost out on hundreds of thousands of dollars, I learned a lot and gained a lot and built a lot of really good relationships and
People that you're still friends with.
yeah, I mean, and I don't talk to any of the guys anymore, but I mean, I still interact with them on like Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I see what everybody's doing. They're all doing great. But
Well, on a side note, this doesn't have anything to do with trust, I per se. Well, no, it does. When you guys kind of all left that specific company, you guys trusted each other enough to kind of start your own company, and that flourished for a really good and decent amount of time. And then life just happens. That's why I
Yeah.
was confused as we were speaking about earlier. But life just kind of happened, and it ended up like shutting its doors. But kind of a really cool thing is that led into a really cool business trip for you that I tagged along on. But I mean, you met some really cool people that you are still to some degree friends with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still cool with anybody. I don't have any like bad blood with anybody, but I mean, it also that like for everybody involved, that kind of placated a lot into the success from some other people because
Oh, yeah, and some of those people are super duper successful.
yeah,
In all the avenues of things that they do, which is pretty cool. Like the trust of you with one specific, the trust of all of you with one specific person led into a bond that you guys created. And then that led into each individual success just from the trust of one person.
Yeah.
Which was pretty neat.
yeah. So I mean, there's always like a lot of people are always like you have to find the good in every situation, and I mean you do
I agree.
because there's always a good outcome. It might not even be for you; it might be for somebody else or something that
Yeah.
you won't see for 10 years. But there's always something positive that can come out of any shitty situation, and with that, there was it was like hand in hand with like the topic for tonight is because we trusted him. That trust was broken, but then we had built up a trust because we went through all of that together. We realized like a lot about each other. We became really good friends, and so we trusted each other enough to go into business together and start this and then get it going. We had to trust each other to kind of have the drive behind it to get shit done. And I mean, and we did, but I mean, of course, we're talking about the finance industry. It's kind of difficult to build a multi-million-dollar business when you're with a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds. So, I
And
mean,
you were still kids.
no, I wasn't 19. I was 22. So it's 21, 22-year-olds. Except for one of the guys, he was like 17. The kid was a fucking genius.
Literally a genius.
Scary smart. Scary smart. But, yeah, I mean, it's... So, I mean, the financial success wasn't there from it. But, I mean, there's a lot more to take away from it than just that. So, just a good example to kind of start it off out trusting other people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty, I wouldn't say like naive when it comes to trusting people, but I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'd rather give trust until I'm given a reason not to trust you than to automatically just make you earn trust. But I mean, with certain people and their characteristics, it kind of just varies from person to person as well. Like,
Yeah.
I always see the good in people, like you do as well. Like, we always see the good in people, and then for me though, I feel like one little small thing and I'm like, oh, don't know if I could trust you. One little small thing, it might not even be like anything serious, but just something minor. I'm like, oh, nope, don't trust you. Bye,
Yeah.
you're done. So I guess it just varies from person to person, but for the most part, I would say I give trust until I'm given a reason not to trust you.
I think for me, a lot of my trust is in my day-to-day environment, which I mean, I guess all of ours is, but my like main focus of trust, and it's not funny, it's not funny, but is just specifically because of the industry that you and I are in. You see, I mean, and you've been in it too, but you see people's true colors, and like you like, and thankfully we work off of a system that doesn't allow our opinions to go into that. That's like,
Yeah.
that's the point of the system, right? But when you hear people's stories, and I'm not saying every story is a non-true or true story, but when you hear people's stories, like, and some of these stories are absolutely outrageous. Like, your job is not to trust if they're being true or not, but like on a personal level, sitting and thinking about it and being like, what in the heck is going on? And then like they provide you receipts of it, and you like trusted the fact that they were right, and like they were right. Or people tell you stories and whatnot about why they can't do this and why they can't do that, you know, whatever else. Because I mean, that's what we do most of the day, is we listen to people, and
Yeah.
you hear their stories, and it's like, what? Like, you want to trust that they're being like true.
And honest.
And then like sometimes I've caught myself in the like I'll go to like think about it like, you know, is this real life? And then I feel like so naive about things when it comes to be like a super sob story and like it's not a true sob story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, like I really believed in that person. Like I really believed like this is a horrible situation for them. And then like I hate the situation, but like that's a mad craziness if like you went through that and like this is where you are now, you know. And I'm trusting that that was their story. And then like sometimes it's not, and you see people and you're like, holy cow, like these are the stories that people come up with. And I'm not saying like everyone is telling a story or not telling a story. That is not by any means what I am saying. But some people just you learn to understand that trust is not always surface level, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it can be very surface level depending on what said situation is, but you
true.
just learn a lot about people and you're not entrusting them with anything. You're trusting them to be honest about what information they're providing to you. But some of it is just crazy. But I mean, personally, like in my personal life, I don't trust a lot of people. Like I have a handful of people that I trust, but I also have a very small circle. But that's because I people at work, and then when I'm done, I don't want to people anymore. So I have a very small circle, and people that, you know, I trusted with I don't want to say my life, that's not the right way to say it, but people that I've been friends with for like many, many, many years, you know, we're no longer friends due to whatever situations may be. And, you know, I trusted them as a friend. And, you know, I'm not going to say that that trust wasn't broken, because in certain situations it wasn't necessarily broken. Life just happened. And now looking back at it, like I would not be in a place to willingly trust those people again. Not because the friendship ended horribly by any means. We just, like, life happened and we went our separate ways. But now looking back at it, like I maybe wouldn't strike up a conversation with that person and like immediately trust them again. Not because they gave me a reason not to trust them, but
I mean, it's also life's different, and you don't really know if it's the same person as it was before.
yeah. I mean, and I don't have like a hard time trusting people, but I do at the same time, I guess.
See, I'll give
So,
what were you saying?
I was going to say, do you feel like you rather have trust earned rather than given?
Yeah. Like and maybe it's not fair, but I feel like some people I just automatically give my trust to them, and majority of the time it turns out to be a good friend relationship of sorts. But other people, you have to, I guess, provide to me, you know, that I can trust you, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
I feel like that's kind of a weird way to explain it. Like I trusted you as soon as, like, I met you, I guess, if that's how you want to say it, because we met outside of what we do now. But
Yeah.
like I trusted you as soon as I met you, and you know, I was trusting you with my makeup and my skin and this, that, and the third, and, you know, like all the things. And, you know, for a girl or for a woman or whatever female you want to say, or for anyone that matter, trusting someone with something you're putting on your face
Fair point.
is kind of a big deal. And then that trust grew into a friendship and, you know,
Yeah.
coworkers and everything like that. So,
Well, I also
Like
think
that.
that, like, with that, just that experience, like, it wasn't really, like, earned trust per se. It was more like, because you guys met at what? The makeup place, right?
Ulta.
Ulta. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was more or less because you trusted that she wasn't full of shit about what she was saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like you trusted that she was kind of like an expert. I don't know what all you did. I don't know if you were like putting
Well, I
makeup
mean, in
on or
that
anything
instance,
like
I
that,
just
but-
gave her my trust. It wasn't an earned situation. I just went in
Well, I
and I
know,
was
but
like,
then
she's
that's-
my person. I trust her. Let's go.
Well, I also, and that's what I'm saying is I think that it was kind of like that professional aspect kind of started it, but then like when you spoke to her, you realized that like she was easy to talk to and you
Yeah.
enjoyed her company, like talking
Well,
wise.
I
even
have a
if it was
lot of
about-
relationships that initially started professional, as in like a trusting professional relationship, and now they are a very personal, trusting friendship.
Yeah. And I also think that like that's an easier way to go about relationships in general, like friendship wise as an adult, because
so.
like I'm the least friendly person you'll ever meet, but like
I
if-
disagree.
I was about to say I disagree with
well, I mean, like just in general, like strangers and stuff. Like I've got zero problem like not speaking to anybody. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
I
a very
would-
approachable person.
Yeah, I would
most
say
of the
you put
time.
up like a show.
Yeah, because I mean, like I don't care to. But I mean, like once I start talking to somebody, it's a different story.
But you also have a demeanor about you that's a little bit. I mean, I'm your wife. I can say this, but you have a demeanor about you that might be intimidating. Not like I'm gonna like beat you up, but like kind of almost like we were talking about this today. Like you kind of have RBF sometimes, and
No, yeah,
like
I do.
that could be for a man or a woman. That could be intimidating, but your demeanor, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you hold yourself when you're standing, when you're walking, when you're talking, you know, whatever, doesn't always come off as like easygoing, but in real life, you
No, yeah, that's like once,
are
like, once you-
easygoing and easy to talk to
Once
and get
I get
along with.
like once I start talking to somebody, it's normally like the same reaction, like, "Oh, you're not an asshole," like I thought you were.
But the most of the people that you talk to and that you have a relation of sorts with literally trust you with their entire being.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is also because I mean, like, I think it's I don't know if it's something that you can kind of just like learn how to do, but like reading people, like I can read people like a book. Like it's bad sometimes, like how spot on I am about shit. Like irrelevant stuff that we have never once talked about. It could be like I don't remember who we were talking about. This was a while ago, but we were going on about something, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually what's going on." And you're like, "No, it's not what it is." And not too long after that, like everything that I said of what was going on was actually going on.
Yeah.
But like I also like I like to study people, just because I don't like interacting with them most of the time.
That's
And
kind of a
there's that.
creepy thing to say.
Well, no, I mean just like in general, like people's like the way people work. I don't
No,
mean,
I know.
like,
I
individual
just
people.
my visual of you is like
No, not like serial killer.
Yeah, I was about
my
to
true
say
my
Dahmer.
true
Just-
crime came
Just-
out for a
yeah,
second.
Just like in general, like how people function.
I
Like,
followed.
I think that for me personally helps kind of just helps me with giving people trust.
Yeah.
The
because it's-
psychology of life,
I was about
Yeah.
to say psychology.
or the other, or the human,
Yeah,
the psychology of the
both.
human.
But I also think like I said, like I don't blindly give trust either. Like I've got no problem trusting anybody until you fuck me over.
Yeah.
But it's not there. It's like a very one path of giving my trust. Like I'm not gonna like freely give you trust, or like
Right.
if I just met you, you can come crash on my couch and shit like that. But
Yeah,
like,
like you're not gonna stand at the corner of the street giving out trust tickets. Every
yeah,
day.
but like I'm also a pretty good judge of character when it comes to all that, because like if somebody is just off, like their presence is just off, I pick up on it. It drives her nuts because I do that to her all the time. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, nothing. And then like 6 hours later, she's like, oh yeah, this was going on or whatever.
I do the same thing to you, though.
Yeah, but the difference is I'm never actually mad. I just look like I'm mad.
I also think our perception of trust, not just as like us, but like as a society, I feel like our trust has gotten like very jaded, just because you see people on the side of the road, whether they be homeless or not, or playing music. Like you see the people that play violins out in front of grocery stores and supermarkets. So like you
Front of the Max.
want to trust that they actually need help, But then I saw a Facebook post and it was like, I thought this person was actually playing music, and then you see the people in the comment section going, oh, that's not real, it's just pre-recorded, and someone's like, well, I gave my money to this person, like, thinking that they really needed help for so-and-so and whatever the case may be. But, like, I also think trust with government, or, trust with absolutely anything. I feel like we don't know who we can trust, we don't know what to believe, we don't know if the information that we're getting is true or not. Like, having to build trust in society as a whole has just been very jaded, especially over the last couple of years.
So I think the thought that the point that you were just making about the violin.
Yeah.
So here's a thought. It is not our responsibility to trust that they're being honest. It's our responsibility to trust ourselves to make the right decision.
Yeah.
Whether that be to, give to them or, whatever. Don't flaunt what you're doing, right? But, like, it's our responsibility to trust that we're doing what we honestly feel is right to do. Whether they're lying about it, that's not our responsibility, and that is not our problem. That is not our business, per se. But, like, we used to give to something specifically, to someone specifically, that we would see every Sunday. And, and this is not a flaunt here, but this is like, when you feel a way about that, like if you think that they're not being honest, but you still feel like led to do something instead of giving like money or whatever. Like, we would give a plate of food. But we were also living grandma's, and, everybody loves grandma's cooking. Like, that's just the thing, right?
Yeah.
So, you got leftovers handed out. But, we weren't thinking twice about what he was doing.
Right.
We didn't have cash on us to provide to said person. But we gave him a plate of food, and let me tell you, this dude was super thankful. And his reaction, weirdly enough, was very different to us than someone actually giving him money. Like, it was almost like that's what he was wanting, was a plate of food. And I don't know, we didn't have long conversations with the dude, but I mean, it's almost like that was what he was wanting, but people were, providing him with money and things like that, which is totally fine. But if you're feeling kind of awkward about it, like maybe they're going to take that money and go do who knows what with it.
You did your good deed. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's your responsibility to trust that you're doing what you're supposed to do, not to trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do with whatever it is you're giving them, I guess. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. So I guess to kind of like go a little bit more in depth, is like, do you trust yourself at all? Like, do you have trust in yourself?
To make good judgment calls, or just
Just
in general?
in general. Just in
Yeah.
general.
I trust myself to do what I'm supposed to do every day as a mom, a wife, an employee, just a friend, I guess, as a person. I don't know. But I'm also confident in what I'm doing, I guess, in all of those things. I'm not perfect in any of them, obviously.
Yeah.
I none of us are perfect in any of those items, but I have confidence in myself, which also leads to me waking up and trusting myself to be that person in whatever the situation is, I guess. I don't know if that answered the question or not.
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of vague.
not really. Because it's either, I trust myself or I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like stupid as that sounds, it's either one or the other. Like, I mean, of course, you can go into like different
But how would you,
subtopics of it.
and
but-
maybe I don't understand, if the answer were to be no, what would be the definition behind it? Like, how would you not trust yourself, I guess? Like, what does it mean
lot of
to
people
not
don't
trust
trust yourself.
yourself?
Yeah.
But,
A lot
like,
of
not
people
trust
don't.
yourself to do what?
what you need to do. You need to trust, because I mean, like, you've got to be able to trust yourself to make the decisions that you need to make to put you either ahead in life or further behind. So some people don't trust themselves because either one, their track record is atrocious with making good decisions, or two, they've never really been put in a position to have to make a call like that, or they're just kind of back and forth and they don't have like a backbone to stand on whatever they believe in.
Okay. So maybe not trusting yourself to make like a very, very, very large decision in life.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
Okay.
like massive. It could be, I mean, hell, it could be like you don't even, you could, and it's not like trusting yourself on like a very deep level, but I mean, do you have trust and belief in yourself to just do what you got to do? Like, if you need to shower today, can you hold yourself accountable to shower and take care of yourself? Can you brush your teeth? Can you go get gas when you need to get gas instead of running on fumes and pushing your luck? Can you trust yourself to sit down and do an extra hour worth of work whenever you get home because you know it needs to be done, or do you put it off to the last minute and shove it off on other people? I mean, it could be a million different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think like a big thing now, I don't think a lot of people trust themselves anymore, because I think society as a whole is kind of, and this plays into like what you're saying about like trusting other people and all that stuff, but a lot of people now will bullshit their way to whatever, because nobody's willing to put in any work, nobody's willing to be uncomfortable, nobody's willing to make the hard decisions or say the not so popular things to have the right outcomes and to produce like better quality relationships or ideas or whatever that they're trying to go after. It's just whoever can kind of bullshit their way to success, because I mean, everybody loves a sob story now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
everybody's going to push out the worst sob story in the world. That's like in the trading industry and stuff like that. Like,
The victim card.
yeah, it's everybody and their mothers who's making $1 million a week. They were all homeless, living under the same bridge, and they were all drug addicts, and this, that, and the other. And within 6 months, somehow they went from a homeless drug addict living under a bridge to somebody who's making $75,000 in 10 days off of just trading because they're so good at it. Like, it's not the case.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of plays into where you're saying that, like, the trust in general is kind of jaded, because that's what's rewarded now. Like, being
Yeah.
a genuine person and an honest person, and
Doesn't
like
get
putting
you
your best
far.
foot forward. No, like I see so many people who are that genuine person, but then, like, especially on social media, if they're trying to make like a presence or something, for example, like the genuine quality people are kind of overshadowed by the bullshit.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, that's not just on social media. Obviously, that's in every aspect of life. But I think that's a big issue with like the backpedaling of trust as a society. And I mean, everything you see in the news and stuff now is you don't know what to trust. You don't know who to trust, like politically or
Yeah.
in any aspect. And then you've got it's just a disaster in general.
Yeah.
And it's definitely frustrating, because then there's also like with like societal issues, I guess, and like what you can and can't say. You've got everybody and their mother going one way, but behind closed doors, they're the polar opposite.
Yeah.
And everybody is sick of these things, but when it comes to being in the public eye, they're all for whatever that they might not agree with, or they might be tired of it, or any of that. But it's just back and forth, like you don't know. I think I would say that'd probably be like the hardest type of person to have like an actual genuine relationship with, like even as a friend, because like if you see them one way on social media, but then the rest of their life is another way, it's like, okay, dude, like, what's the play here?
Yeah.
Like, what's the truth behind here? Do you actually believe this, or are you just feeding into everybody's bullshit to cash your checks and make your money? Which, I mean, a lot of people do that, but
It's hard to trust in today's society, I would say.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I said though, but I'll give anybody the benefit of the doubt, and I'll trust somebody, like to a degree. Like I won't be fully vested in anybody by any means, but I'll go as far to like I'll trust somebody to like be somewhat of a resemblance of who they are online, if it's like an influencer or something, or just day-to-day interactions with people. I'll trust them far enough to that they're not feeding me a line of bullshit. Or the homeless guy down the street, I'll trust him enough to, if I give him $5, then he's not gonna go blow it on dope. Or if he actually is homeless, like the day-to-day interactions, I give people the benefit of the doubt. Friend-wise, I'm obviously a little bit more strict. That's why I don't have very many friends, because I've been burned by too many people that I considered friends. And it never made me like bitter or angry or anything. It's just like, okay, like I just on to the next person. Like the only thing that I really think that it's kind of messed me up, like mentally and emotionally over, is like I will not lose a bit of sleep if we stop becoming friends. Like, me and you could be best friends for 20 years and you fuck me, and the next day you don't exist to me. Like, I do not skip a beat. I don't think about you. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think that's really like the main negative takeaway from all that. Because other than that, like, if you're gonna screw me over because you need to get ahead or whatever, like, that's on you. Like, I'm not losing any sleep. It's not that I shouldn't have trusted you. It's you should have just not been a shithead. Like, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over that. But not everybody could be like that, though.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, with her, she was hung up on a couple of friends that she lost. Because she's lost a couple of friends because of me. And, like, they were not willing to, like, talk to me, do anything, like, associate with me, whatever, because they just assumed that I looked a certain way, so this is how I was. And that's, like, one of her best friends that quickly became one of my best friends for a while. We don't talk that much anymore. But, I mean, he outright told me, like, the second time we ever met, he was like, just so you know, like, I had judgments already set up. Like, I just figured I was going to hate you, and I was going to tolerate seeing you that one time and never speak to you again. Because he's like, I know her track record with the type of people that she hangs out with, and then you look like a dickhead online. Because all he did was, like, see my Facebook and Instagram and shit. I mean, at the time, I was, 19 years old and fucking stupid big, like, in the gym. Like, just a dumb juice head. And he's like, I 100% hated your guts from the minute that I met you. He's like, and then we talked for like 10 minutes and I realized you were nothing like I was expecting. So
You're kind of a cool guy.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's been people that we worked with, like, one of the people that we worked with, he fucking hated me for months. And then he's like, and then I actually, like, started to talk to you and I realized you're not actually a piece of shit. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, I guess, like, whatever. And that's normally the takeaway from friendships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that I've been friends with, I guess these people were kind of what I was talking about earlier, that, you know, friendships ended, not necessarily in a bad way, but people that I very, very, very much trusted. And it's not that the trust was broken or anything was done.
On your end. On their end, they probably built up a different one.
the people that we're talking about specifically, and I know that we know who they are, those friendships, for the most part, just ended because they didn't like you. And it's not a trust between me and that person. There wasn't something that was done on either part that was like, oh, you stole my piece of candy and I trusted you to tell me that you took the piece of candy. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as a relationship as a whole, the trust itself, there was no trust broken, if you will. We didn't do anything to each other to cause that to not happen, to no longer trust each other. They just didn't like you. And that's okay.
But I also think that, like, that kind of played a part into trust being broken, though. Because you trusted them enough to be that good of a friend and one of your best friends to, like, trust your judgment and trust them to be a good enough friend to, like, yes, I understand you need to come with your guard up because they care about you, but you trusted them enough not to destroy a friendship over something that they never even gave a shot to.
I agree with that. I understand your point in
Yeah, no, but
That
I'm not,
part
I'm not
of
saying
trust.
like your
Yeah.
trust is them and from them like was just taken away or whatever. I'm just bringing trust into it as an example.
Yeah, no, I
So-
agree with that. I mean, you should trust your friends too. It's not necessarily their relationship. They should want what is good for you, and that is okay. I mean, that's what friends are for, I think. But
And there's obviously like a difference to when like the relationship is like a genuine like terrible idea, and then it's just something that like they have a preconceived notion about that's not true, and refuse to like put in any sort of footwork to see if their assumptions are correct or not.
yeah,
Because I mean, it'd be different like if I was like an abusive piece of shit, and they're like, "Oh no, I trust you to make the right call." Like that's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously not, and they still had this like preconceived notion of like, okay, our friendship has to end because you're not just like blindly trusting whatever I say.
yeah, I agree.
I think for me, like trusting like I'm not gonna say names, but like I trusted someone's perception of someone else. And then once I really got to know them, I was like, no, that's really like not how it is at all. So like I built the trust up in that person to like for their perception of who someone was. And then I was like, wait a second.
Is this work related?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
following.
Yeah. So like once I actually got to know someone, I was like, maybe it's not about trust. It's more on the lens of perception, I guess you could kind of say as
Yeah.
well. It's kind of like it goes hand in hand. Trust and perception, I would say, go hand in hand because like your perception of someone also goes in hand with the trust of that person. Because like you want to trust that what they're seeing about someone else is real, but it's
Because you trust them.
exactly. So
Yeah.
But their perception of this person was very wrong.
exactly. So like then it was like, all right, do I really trust this person, or am I just trusting their perception of someone else?
But also a thought on that is, hypothetically speaking, their perception of that person could have been because of their encounters with that person.
Oh yeah.
Which is where them trusting that person could have been perceived very differently because their encounters were different. So then it's like, okay, do I trust the person who's telling me what they perceive about this person? Like, you know, what they think about this person? Or do I actually trust the person themselves because they're nothing like what this person over here is saying?
Yeah.
It's like people can say things about other people and you have the choice to like trust that what they're saying is actually true, or you can trust your own judgment and create your own perceptions and your own opinions and your own experiences of that person.
I guess that also kind of plays back into trusting someone until given a reason not to.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like trusting myself, there's certain things that I trust myself with, and there's certain things that I don't, or I used to not. Now I can. But with me, it was money. If I had it, it was gone. There was no saving. There wasn't anything being put away for myself. If I had it in cash, it's gone. If I had it on my card, if it was there for the spending, it's gone. I could not trust myself at all with anything. And now I'm starting to like build my trust back up in myself to be able to save it, or be able to save things, like be able to trust myself that, okay, you're not going to spend it. If it's there, it's not going to burn a hole in your pocket. It's okay to stay there. Like I've had I'm not gonna say the amount of a dollar bill, but I've had a bill in my nightstand now for almost 2 years. Haven't touched it.
I have one that I was given at Christmas. It's probably like by my grandparents, but
Probably.
probably like 6, 7 years ago. And I literally had it until I took what I had and put in the bank. I mean, it wasn't like a crazy amount, but I had literally had that in my wallet, like you said, in your nightstand for probably like 6 years. I kind of
Probably
forgot that it
in
was
half,
there,
but-
maybe. I don't know.
Oh no, I know it's there. But Old Laney, if it was there, we were going on a shopping spree.
See, I can trust myself with money because I will 100%, like, I will pay the bills all day long, every day. I'm still going to go shopping afterwards, and sometimes I feel bad about it, and I have buyer's remorse, and then sometimes I feel glorious about my purchases. But I can guarantee you 100,000 million% that the bills are always going to be paid. And I know when to stop.
Yeah.
Like, I know that, like, yes, I understand I shop. I'm not the queen of shopping, but I mean, like, I might be the princess.
Yeah, definitely the queen of shopping.
I might be the princess. But I know when to no longer spend money. And I've all but like one time put myself in a hole. I've not put myself in a hole but one time. Sorry, I mixed up my words, but yeah, I've never really put myself in a hole but one time, and I climbed out of it very slowly. And I wasn't doing anything different then than I was before. It's just how life happened at the time, and that's okay. But I don't have an issue with trusting myself with money. Now, if I have cash, I'm going to keep cash for like ever. Like ever. If I have it on my card, like, That's why, like, when I get paid, I put money in the savings account. So there's like this amount of money on the card. So like I don't have access to it.
I know.
I allow myself, or I allot myself, $5
Now, see, in
for a
my
McDonald's
head,
Happy Meal.
in my head,
It's not nice to lie on the internet, you know.
girl math.
I go buy
If
McDonald's
you-
Happy Meal.
Girl math,
If it's
in
on
my
your
head,
Starbucks
if
thing,
it's...
it doesn't, it's free.
Well, no, for me, girl math, cash, if I'm not putting it on my card, then it's free. So that's how my head used to be. Now I trust myself not to just go out and blow
I
my
feel like I
money.
can just save money if I have cash. Like, I will have cash forever. And I told her, I was like, I'm not buying any fast food. I bought fast food today on the card. And that was the one time. I've had fast food twice this week.
But only once on your card.
Correct. And that's what I told myself. And
Girl math, Reno.
but
Girl
the thing
math.
is that
Yep.
the money that I spent was my birthday money. It wasn't like, it was the money that my mom gave me. It was my birthday money. And that's okay because it wasn't,
Your money.
Girl math, it was free.
Yep.
no, I mean, it wasn't free. If you guys hadn't got McDonald's, I wouldn't have got McDonald's. It was like a, hey, we're all going to McDonald's kind of thing. But I mean, I did eat a burger instead of ravioli.
Well, back to the whole point of what she was saying with that is like
Not McDonald's.
you had to re-discipline yourself.
Oh, yeah.
To start trusting yourself,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's a big thing because
What was the knocking point for you? Or the tipping point?
When I had nothing, like on my birthday working at Ulta and my phone got cut off and I couldn't call anyone and I had to call off the work phone, and then I lost my car insurance and almost got evicted from my apartment, and I had like a bottle of wine and crackers for like 2 weeks and I could afford my dog's food, and that was it. Like, tipping point for me was like,
it got rough.
what are you doing, girlfriend? Like, what are you gonna do? And then it was kind of like having to, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, like, now, the times that we have gone shopping, but now when I go to swipe my card, even if I have the money there, I start sweating, like really bad. I get scared to spend my money.
From one extreme to the other.
Oh yeah, I went from one extreme to another. No, I'm not saying that I won't treat myself every once in a while because I mean you deserve it. But if I'm in person, I'm like sitting and I do kind of start feeling hot and like face starts getting a little red and start getting a little nervous. But then afterwards, I'm like, oh, okay, gallivanting around with my said item. I'm like, okay, yes, this is worth it. I have to build it back up in my head, like why I needed this or maybe why I didn't need it but deserved it, but also kind of wanted it type of deal. But like, yeah.
I sweat, and this has to do with trust in your example. I sweat when I'm buying something that I know I'm going to regret buying later. And I don't mean it's a bad purchase.
But it's a bad purchase.
When I'm literally going to swipe my card and I'm like,
What the hell did I
I'm
just
trusting
do?
myself to know that, like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to enjoy whatever it is. A new pair of shoes. I don't know. I'm like, I really shouldn't buy this. I'm not trusting myself enough at that point to, like, go put it back. And then I swipe the card and I'm like, this is great. And then I get in the car and I drive home and I get home and then I show Reno and I'm like, and now I'm going to take it back to the store. Like,
Oh, you've
not
done that
even
to
an
us.
hours later.
You bring it to the office and you're like, I love this, but I don't need this. I'm going to take it back and then I'll get it next time. But there have also been occasions where you've been like, I'm trusting myself not to get this and that it's going to be here the next time I want it. And then the very next day you're like, okay, I need it. And you go back and it's not there. And then you have a meltdown for weeks on end. Just an example. But
And she gets mad because I'll tell her, I guess you didn't need it that bad.
so I guess like you trust yourself enough, but then have
You question it. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Is that's what you shouldn't do. If you know that you should not do something, if that little nagging voice in the back of your head is telling you like to do something or not do something, and you go against whatever it's saying, that's when you start having issues.
And the thing is for me, like, it's not even about the money of the purchase, the price of the purchase. It's about, do I really need this?
And that's what I'm saying. That's like the little voice in your head that's telling you like, do you really need this? And you start questioning it instead of just listening to it and feeling good afterward. Like, yeah, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I wanted to do it. It's more of like an addiction type behavior. And this isn't just for you. It's in general. It's like an addiction type behavior because you still are like, shut the fuck up. I'm still gonna do this, even though you know that as soon as it happens, you're not gonna have like the fulfilled happy feeling behind it. You're
I've
gonna be
literally
even more
sat in the
stressed
parking
out.
lot after I've checked out and walked back in and returned something.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like that plays into trusting yourself. That's how you trust yourself. If you hear that
Yeah.
little voice and it's telling you to do something or not do something, listen to it. Because the more you listen to that little voice, is the easier to, just like whenever you hit your little bump in the road,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like a nagging voice in your head, be like, hey, you need to get your shit together.
yeah.
You need to stop spending money. You need to start doing this. You need to stop doing that. And then you started trusting yourself because that little voice is you. It's your subconscious.
I
As soon
know.
as you start listening to yourself, everything gets better.
So I guess it's like you gotta trust your gut. Do you trust your gut?
100%. To a fault sometimes. Where like it's actually caused arguments.
It's
between
almost
us.
annoying.
Yeah, because if we're out doing something, like it drives her nuts because we'll be out. If the kid's at school, she's got the day off or whatever, we'll be out. I'm like, oh yeah, I really need to get this, and then I see it and I get it. And as soon as I get the little, put that shit back, I'm like, nope, don't want it. And like just, she'll be trying to follow me through the store, be like, oh, we should. I'm like, really don't want it. Like the idea of me getting that repulses me right now because the more I think about it and the more I push for why I need to, the voice in my head gets louder, be like, shut the fuck up. You do not need this. And then it's just like with anything that I do, like gym-wise, I pushed it off for the longest time until finally that voice stopped talking because the gym was the farthest thing away from me. But then it's day one, as soon as I got back into it, it's like, okay. And then it's if I don't want to go to the gym, or there's been times that, we've gotten into arguments at night because I've decided to take the night off from the gym, and then it's 2 hours later and we're just sitting outside on our phones, then I get pissed off because then it's like, hey, get up and go to the gym, or you missed your day for the gym. What the fuck are you doing? And then I get pissy with myself, not at her, because obviously it's my choice. Like, I get pissy with myself because it's like, why didn't I just go do what I needed to do? I could have done what I needed to do and been home 45 minutes ago.
And now it's 2 hours and you haven't left yet.
Yeah. Like,
But you feel better when you get back.
yeah, because I'm trusting myself I know what this is what I need to do. Just like today, I had one of the other episodes of the podcast up.
Do you have hiccups?
And
Do you have hiccups?
yeah.
Okay.
Had last week's episode of the podcast up. I had it fully edited, and I was just gonna go ahead and do it. But this morning, I was like, you need to sit down and watch it, just to make sure everything was good. Don't know why, because it was fully ready, and all I needed to do was just export it and then throw it up on YouTube. Done. And this morning, I was getting ready to do it, and it was like this little screeching voice in my head. Watch it one more time, and I'm glad that I did, because for whatever reason, when it saved last night, it corrupted part of it, and it was literally like the first 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes, and then little clips. Like 10 minutes here, and then it'd cut off in the middle of a sentence, and then it would overlap between like this audio and the camera audio. Like, I have no idea what the hell happened to it. So I had to just completely delete it all and restarted it, and thankfully it took like 15 minutes to get it back up and edited. Granted, I've got to rewatch it tonight because I'm like halfway through it, but just like that weird little, and that happens with me a lot, like when it comes to like with making videos or doing TikToks or whatever. Like, there's days that I know that I need to be more productive, but I don't really, just the spark's not there that day. So I kind of take my foot off the gas, and sometimes it's all right, but then other times it's just like, as soon as I take my foot off the gas, it's just like a war going on inside my head about like, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do, this. And then as soon as I get off my ass and start doing it, it's just silence, and whenever I'm done, I'm 1,000 times happier. But it's also the opposite way. Like,
You were
I can
struggling.
be, I don't mean to, I've got like heartburn. I can't do anything
It's
about it. It could also be like, if I'm on a roll, like when it comes to like creating content or whatever, if I'm on a roll and I get that little nagging voice, be like, no, just stop wasting your time with this and go this path. As soon as the more I resist that, the more of a headache it becomes, and the less
Yeah.
that I enjoy it, and stuff starts going wrong, and it's just one thing after another that's like slowing me down. And then once I stop doing that, and then I go the direction that I was telling myself to go, smooth sailing. So I think it's kind of, for me personally anyway, the more that I've kind of dealt with that head on, the more that I began to trust myself, because I also know now anyway, like I joke and like hype myself up and like have an ego and shit like that. Like, yes, majority of it's just me busting balls and being funny, but to a degree, like that unhinged thought process to where like I know whatever I say is going to work and I'm always right. Like I do believe that, but that's because I have the track record, like internal track record of, you got shit together. Don't question what you're thinking, because 9 times out of 10, whatever I'm thinking and I follow through with works perfectly. So I mean, it's kind of, to be successful with trusting yourself, you have to have that little bit of like a delusional optimism and like delusional trust in yourself, because even starting out, if you don't have the track record with, like, if you haven't stacked enough wins within yourself, you're going to question yourself every step of the way. Or
Yeah.
you're not going to know which way to go. You're not going to know if what you're doing is the smartest way, the best way, whatever. But if you start just going with your gut, or that little voice in your head that's popping up telling you, like, don't do this, try this, or like the random little spurts of inspiration, if you follow through on that shit and you start collecting like a little win here and there, that's how you really start trusting that internal dialogue that you have. and can kind of run with it at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Because like now personally, it's also, I can be in the heat of making a video, and then there's like one little hiccup with it or one little thing that's like, no, stop doing this and tweak it. Like I'm not even done like closing it out. It's just gone. Like I'm just wiping my hands immediately.
Yeah.
And going a different route. And like of course that kind of slows me down sometimes because I've completely chalked projects that I've worked on for weeks, but 2 days into the new one, I'm already miles ahead and it's already way better. But there's for anybody that does not trust themselves or is in that spot to where they're kind of trying to learn how to trust themselves, the easiest way is, I got this from Andy Frisella forever ago. He calls it, he like stacks wins basically. So what he does is, to start off, is every day you need to get a piece of paper and write 5 things that you need to get done that day. Not like massive things like life-changing, earth-shattering things, but just 5 things. Like if you want to get back in shape, or you want to start reading, or you want to get going on a business or whatever, write down 5 things that are manageable. Read 10 pages of a book today. Or spend 30 minutes studying whatever it is. Or if you want to go to the gym, it'd be like, make sure I go to the gym today. I drink a gallon of water. I eat my food. So say you want to learn a new language and start eating right and going to the gym. Your 5 things would be read 10 pages of whatever, write 15 things in this language, go to the gym, stick to your meal plan, drink a gallon of water. As soon as you finish those up and mark it off on a piece of paper, and then if you complete all 5, mark the whole page off. Next day, do the same thing. You go back after a week and you realize you won 5 out of the 7 days. You tipped the scales that week, so you won the week. At the end of the month, you won 3 out of 4 weeks, so you won the month. At the end of the year, you've won 12 out of 12 months. Then that's how you start kind of like trusting yourself to know that you're going to do what you got to do.
And hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. And, I mean, of course, there's always some ball bag that's like, oh, well, I'm going to cure cancer today. Like, that's not the whole point of it. It's to take the small victories that lead into the bigger things. Because, like, how can you expect to trust yourself to become the best version of yourself if you're not willing to start by reading? If you're not willing to read 10 pages out of a book today, then how do you expect yourself to own and operate a multi-million-dollar company if you want to start one, or have a massive YouTube channel, or start a skincare line, or any outrageous goal? How can you expect yourself to be able to handle that when you can't even handle drinking a gallon of water that you know you want to do, that you know within yourself you need to do?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's different for everybody, but that's kind of what I did to start out. But
You're out of the frame.
like that's what I did to kind of start out, to kind of build that trust within myself. But once you start winning consistently, you also have to keep that in check, because like you can turn out to be an egotistical asshole, but what does that serve? What purpose does that serve? Absolutely nothing. Like, you can trust yourself and believe in yourself and know that you know now that you are the person that anybody can come to and they can rely on. And that's kind of where you're supposed to align yourself to become, because if you're not, then you're wasting all of that like potential that you have to help people. Because yes, you need to use it for yourself to get ahead in yourself and make sure that your life is taken care of, but you're also within the other people's lives for a reason. And
Yeah.
it could just be to get a good laugh and hang out. I mean, it could be something super small. It could be something that you literally change their entire life. But if you don't trust yourself enough to take care of you, how are you supposed to help other people and give to other people and be the best version of yourself for not just you, but everybody in your life? And I think that's kind of the standard that everybody should like aim for. But not everybody cares to be.
Yeah.
So, and then that also plays into like, I trust myself enough to be able to read the room enough to see who deserves 100% of me. Because if I get like a shit vibe from somebody, or there's one little thing out of place, then no, you're not going to get my best. But if you don't screw me over, if like the benefit of the doubt that I gave you is not stepped on, or you're not walking out of line, not in like a pathetic way to where like, oh, you gave me a shitty look one day, or you were in a bad mood, so like now wipe my hands of you. But like, I mean, you know what I mean. And that's just, so trusting yourself plays into being able to trust anybody else, because then at the same time you're trusting yourself to be able to perceive them, to see if they're the right person to get all of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it also can play into like relationships and shit too, because I've been with some people in the past that like immediately I could tell that they were shit women. I'm like, you are not getting my best. Like, we're cool for right now. We'll keep this like kosher, but there's no long-term commitment plans here. So,
I guess it could also go in if you don't. It's also about trusting the process, because like trusting yourself and how you do things. Like, say you fail, well, have trust in yourself that you're going to learn from making that mistake or going down the path that you not necessarily wanted to go on, but just ended up on just from making a bad call because you trusted your gut, but that ended up as a fail. You have to trust that you're going to get back to where you were needing to go, but that you're also going to learn something from that. So trusting the process is also important too. Just goes in hand with trusting yourself or trusting others. So you have to trust the bigger picture.
yeah.
I feel like you have to trust yourself to trust the process.
Yeah.
Like you can't. I
Yep.
feel like you can trust the process and not trust yourself.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I
Well,
mean, maybe you
definitely
can.
You for sure can, because I mean, like, take for example, just being a YouTuber is gonna be the easiest example. I can trust the process that anybody can become a YouTuber with millions of subscribers and be wildly successful at it, but can I trust myself to put in the dues and put in the work that I know it's gonna take to get there? So
But
I mean,
at that point, why would you trust the process if you're not willing to trust yourself?
because I mean, just because I'm not willing to do it doesn't mean that it's a failed process and it doesn't work. I mean,
But it would be failed for you if you didn't trust yourself enough to do it.
no, it wouldn't be failed for me. It would just be me failing myself, because
That's what I mean.
I'm not willing to do what I need to do. I could hand you a 10-page laid out script of everything that you need to do for the next 6 months to make $500,000. If you follow this to a T, 100% guaranteed on the first day of month 7, $500,000 is coming to you. There's a track record, 1,000 people have done this exact same thing. So you know this is for sure going to work. Just because you're not willing to do the work does not mean that this is a failed thing. It didn't fail for you. You failed yourself because you didn't trust the process enough to... You didn't trust yourself enough to follow the process. Because
That's what-
everything's...
yeah, bingo.
Yeah. It's not...
No, but you didn't catch it. You caught it, didn't you?
You have to trust
Yourself
to trust the process.
You didn't
well,
realize it
maybe.
That's
until
literally what
afterwards.
Maybe
you
I
said.
misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah,
then.
you have to believe in yourself to
To
believe
do-
in the process.
Oh, okay. I
Like,
was
say-
misunderstanding. I took it as if you don't... I took it backwards.
Yeah,
okay.
no, you're
never mind
good.
then.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Alright.
following a recipe. The
Yeah.
recipe's there, but can you trust yourself enough to follow that recipe
Yeah.
to get the
Okay.
outcome?
Yeah. I had them switched. Okay.
Yeah.
Good call, because that went
It's okay.
left, right.
It's like,
You
I feel
left
like
field.
you're
Caught
literally
it. You
saying,
were right there. You basically repeated exactly what you
Yeah.
said, but
I
it took
just
definitely
in
took
different
it-
words.
I took it backwards. Okay. Yeah, because
I
I
don't
took
think
what you
that-
were saying is like if you get a guaranteed plan of something and you don't trust yourself enough to do it, then that's a failed process. I was taking it like that's
No.
still a valid
No.
process. You just fucked up. So
Yeah.
okay.
I was meaning you can't trust the process and
Okay,
not trust
okay.
yourself.
Yeah. I
Like
gotcha.
in order to trust, I don't mean the process is going to fail. I mean, obviously, example, a recipe. It's a recipe, like somebody made it. So it's
It's obviously been
No,
done.
yeah.
right.
Yeah, no, I
So-
get what you're saying now. I
Yeah,
took
you have
that.
to trust the.
I took the trust the process, or the process failure of the process a different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no.
no, you're good.
That was a yawn. Sorry about that. But trusting the process isn't always, like, I guess, an easy thing to do, especially when, like, making a recipe, you can see an end result, right? I mean, you can see it on a picture, you can Google it, whatever. But, like, trusting the process when you literally can't see the light at the end of the tunnel is not always easy to do.
Or you could have trust in yourself, and then it's like, I did everything right. I'm doing great. You can be your own hype man, going, yes, all right, I've stirred it.
And the
It's
process
not
isn't going
burning.
the way it
Yeah,
should be.
it's like,
Or that you
okay,
think it should be.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, what happened here? Like I
Just needs to cook a little longer.
yeah, I mixed the
And that's-
eggs.
that's the hard
like,
part.
I did it.
That's definitely the hard part about it, because that's like the prime example of if you know that everything's going right, but the success hasn't been seen, and you've taken a step back and kind of evaluated the situation. If you know that 100% is being given every single day at this, and you know that you're evolving and learning and consistently getting better at it, and it still hasn't taken off, you just need to know that it's going to happen. Like it's a guarantee, because I mean I'm a whole like firm believer that success is a guarantee. It's just dependent on you.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know that there's outliers in the situation for somebody that's busted their ass with something for years and years and years, and it's never fully taken off to that degree. But if you look back at the big picture of it, 99% of the time, they've had massive successes in other avenues that have still resulted in a near, like, basically the same outcome as what they were wanting. It's just not
Yeah.
how they wanted to.
It's
And
not
that's
how
also
they saw the outcome.
And then it's also ties into trusting the process. If you are giving your all to something that hasn't come to fruition yet, you need to trust the process that something is going to come from it. It might not be A, it might be G or X,
Yeah.
but you need to trust that the right pivot and the right opportunity at the right time, it's all going to fall into place however it's supposed
There's
to be.
always something learned from every situation, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm stuffy. Sorry. But yeah, there's always something learned, whether it is good or bad. Like there's something to take away from every situation, and in trusting the process, like you learn a lot about yourself, I guess.
yeah.
Like how much of stress and weight and time and I don't know, whatever else, but you're learning a lot about yourself and trusting the process, and that you learning that about yourself could be the entire point of the process.
Yeah. So by trusting the process, you're also learning to trust yourself as well.
Yeah, it can go hand in hand both ways.
Yeah.
Because you can't have, I don't think you really can have one without the other. Because if you don't trust yourself, you have to put your trust in something to build yourself up. And if you trust yourself but don't trust what's going on, then you need to use that to build it up. It's just vice versa, basically. Because, I mean, especially when it's like, good example would be when she wanted to, and this could also tie into like trusting your partner in a relationship and shit like that. When she said that she wanted to go to aesthetic school way before she even like applied to look into it or whatever, she wanted to start a skincare page. And she also said that long-term goal was to own a skincare line. And as soon as she said that, I got her to make an Instagram. She started like putting content up there. I worked on it by myself without her knowing to market it and push it out to as many people as I possibly could, and she ended up getting, I think, like 1,200 followers from it. Like, nothing substantial, like, it was substantial, but, like, big picture thing, it was just like a drop in the bucket for her goals. But I trusted I guess I trusted her enough to know that, like, she was serious about it at the time.
Yeah.
And then same with the skincare line. She brought that up, and then this is just, like, from personal, because everybody, obviously not everybody's like this, but I ran with it. Like, within 3 weeks, I had manufacturers in California that I've talked to on the fastest turnaround times and where I can get the best quality products put in together, and their lead times on being able to put samples together. And I had the graphic design people. I had it all broken down to, okay, here you go, start your skincare line. Whatever you need me to do, I will do. And that was like straight out of the gate. First time she mentioned it, but I knew she was serious about it. And again, at the time she was serious about it. It was not anything that was like a dire thing for her to get into. But that was both sides. You could see it. Like, I trusted her enough to know that it was important, so I took it upon myself to do X, Y, and Z. Not that she had ever even brought it up other than, like, maybe twice.
Yeah.
But I could see that it was important to her, so I used my resources and what I knew that I could, the benefits that I knew I could bring to the table on this one thing, and set her up for whatever she wanted to do. If it was she wants to run with it, doesn't want to run with it, either way, I'm cool. Like, I'm not butthurt if she decided not to do anything with it.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of, like, partnership should be super key, because she also knows that if she wants to get into anything, even if it's something that she has no fucking clue about, she knows that she can trust me enough to do whatever needs to be done to help her. If that means that I'm running the business, just like with her aesthetic stuff when she wanted to do her own thing. She didn't want to own an aesthetics business. She just wanted to do aesthetics.
Yeah.
So I told her, if that's what you want to do, I will run the business. I will learn how to run the business profitably, and I will take all that on. That sounds boring as shit to me. I enjoy business, but not that type of business. There's no interest in that. But she knows that she could trust me, that if tomorrow she said, I want to start this and I want to start my own place from the ground up, we need to figure this out, that I would go above and beyond to make sure that it's handled, like, information-wise. And I think that's, like, extremely necessary for, like, long-term healthy relationships, because
Yeah.
if...
Well, I mean, our relationship, I didn't mean to cut you off, but our relationship literally was built on trust. That's so cliche, but it literally was. We didn't know each other. I mean, we met in the gym.
No, yeah.
I trusted you to make sure I wasn't going to get hurt. Not like I'd never been to the gym before. I had. But I trusted you to make sure that I wasn't going to get hurt. And then it led into when, we've been together for years at this point. But, when I was doing powerlifting and things like that, and I was lifting really heavy weight, it was, trusting you to make sure that when I'm under a bar, I ain't going to just done. Trusting you to make sure that, like, I'm safe and I'm okay and I can do whatever movement and lift, push, pull, whatever that I'm needing to do, and that I am safe to do it because you've got my back. Like, literally.
And again, like, preface this, of course, every relationship needs to be built on trust, because you need to be able to trust that person, that they're not going to, like, go behind your back or cheat on you or do you wrong or anything. I'm not talking about that. I mean, that's just a fucking given. If that trust isn't there, your relationship's doomed. And if you're in a relationship right now and that baseline trust is not there, just leave. I mean, I don't care if it's been 16 days or 16 years, just fucking leave. Like, it is what it is. But I just wanted to put that out there, because, I mean, of course, there's probably going to be some dickhead that's like, relationships need to be built on trust. Like, fucking obviously. But
I was just providing an example.
No, I know, and I was just saying that because I know some ball bag's gonna drop their 2 cents, and I just don't feel like dealing with it. But like, if your relationship, if you went to Corey and was like, "Hey, I want to do this," your immediate reaction would be, or thought process would be, to trust him enough to go with it. Like,
yeah.
even if he doesn't understand it, just like, have my back. Like, keep your shitty comments to yourself. Don't put them out there. Just, this is what I'm going to do. Trust that I'm going to be able to do whatever I need to do to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
And if that wasn't there, then that would
Be pointless.
screw every, yeah.
Yeah, we both trust each other to the sense of, like, anything he says, I go, all right, cool, let's go.
Mm.
And same goes for him. Like,
Yeah.
if I were to say something, he'd be like, all right, what do you need?
Yep.
I'll go get it right now. Like, what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? How can I help? It's kind of like we trust each other in the sense of, like, if either one of us need anything, though, we're there,
Yep.
100% for each other.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's like, that alone can kind of help everything. Because if you don't trust yourself and you don't trust the process of whatever you're working on, but you have a partner that does believe in you and trust you, or not really take their trust out of it, but they believe in you, they know that you can do whatever the fuck it is, that right there is going to kickstart your starting to trust yourself, because you're like, if this person believes in me when I don't, obviously there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
And I think that also, if you aren't able to kind of kick your own ass in gear to kind of start the process of trusting yourself, if you have somebody, and it might not be like a romantic relationship, it could just be a friend or whatever the case may be, like a family member or something that believes in you and trusts you enough that they know that you're capable of doing it, it's going to work wonders.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a million different ways that you can kind of start building trust within yourself and what you're doing and all that. It's just kind of filtering out what's the best route for that to happen, I guess. Because, I mean, you can also get it from like 15 different ways. But, and again, if you're the track record on any of that is not the best, like, you also have to remember that the past is the past. Like, you can make a change at any given time. And another one is like going into new relationships and stuff like that. I know so many, mainly females, do it a lot where they've been hurt or they've been burned. I know a lot of guys that do it too. But then they carry that into other relationships, and it's like, how can how can you let somebody else's actions and the way that they've handled situations kind of play a part into a brand new unknown relationship? Like, it's not fair, or it's kind of like a lack of trust on the new person, because, okay, well, you've been hurt in the past, I haven't hurt you, I've not given you a reason to kind of lump me in this category, but you still are. That's going to cause a rift, and I mean, some people are able to kind of like push that down for a while, but at some point that shit's going to pop back up, and if it does pop back up, then like that's where that can kind of throw everything off, because then you start not trusting yourself, because it's like,
I was about to say,
I've made this decision for so long and obviously it wasn't the right one.
Yeah.
So it's a weird line you have to play.
Absolutely.
So
I don't have anything to add.
I mean, could be really it. I mean, do you have anything else to really add into trust
No.
as a whole, or?
Trust is something that's learned as well. You kind of have to learn to trust yourself, trust others, trust the process, but it takes one day at a time. I mean, it's you have to make mistakes along the way. You have to learn from the rights, the wrongs, the hurt. You have to learn through those to really understand yourself. It's all about listening to, cliche, listening to your heart, like also your gut and your head. They all kind of have to like work together Because your head could say one thing, your heart could say the other, but your gut's like, all right, this is it.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of get in tune with yourself. Get
To
in
figure out which
tune-
one of those is right.
Right, and get in tune with, you know, other people around you or the process of it all. Kind of all, trust kind of plays into it all. It all starts with you.
Yeah. And then to real quick about like trusting your gut. Over time, the more that you listen to it, the scarier it gets whenever you don't. I know, perfect example. That's stuck with me for years. It was a week after my mom got her new car. This was like 10, 11 years ago. I was driving it to go get my dad from work. I was stuck in traffic on Business 85. It was pissing rain. We're stopped, dead stop traffic. There's an accident across the road. And I was like, I need to pull off. Don't know why there's nobody behind me. But I was like, I need to get off the road right now. I just need to pull over. Somebody's going to end up hitting me. Just kind of brushed it off. Not even 2 minutes later, dude hit me. I was at a dead stop. He hit me doing 65 miles an hour. Didn't even touch his brakes. Didn't even touch them. And I was just like, fuck. Okay, like, should have followed my gut. Like,
Yeah.
I knew that I should have. And granted, like, could I have pulled over there and, like, it been 1,000 times worse? Absolutely. But that's just one example. Like, I didn't trust the little nagging voice. And I mean, I've also done that so many times. Like when I was in high school and stuff, I'd went to a couple parties and I'm like, hey, you don't need to go. And the last one, I almost got arrested.
Yeah.
So it's like, I didn't listen to my gut for one of the very few times that I never did, and it bit me in the ass, and it always bites me in the ass. And the longer, if you're stuck kind of confused, wondering why everything happens to you that you don't want it to happen to you, you need to take a step back and think of how many times did you hear the voice in your head that you quieted down and just did it anyway. Because the faster you stop doing that and start listening to it, everything's going to start changing a lot faster.
That's when the last thing I'll add in is I trust that voice in my head a lot. Maybe not with shopping. That's not the point. But I trust that voice in my head a lot. I'm like, I guess we could touch on shopping again for a second. I don't need to go shopping today because I don't need to travel down that road. I need to take this road to go to work. I need to get out of that person's way.
Yeah.
Like, it's mainly with the roads. Like, I just mean, like, traveling, driving, with roads in general. And it's not because I don't trust me. I don't trust other drivers. And I think that, like, I psych myself out a lot when it comes to things like that. Like, a whole lot. And then, like, I also do it, like, when you leave to go to the gym at night. I have to be confident in knowing that I trust you to make it there and to make it back. And I'm not even going to think about the fact that I don't trust other people on the road. Like, that stresses me out super duper bad. But the majority of me, like, trusting that little voice in my head, my subconscious, is, like, when I'm driving. I know that I have literally a split second to make the decision of the little subconscious in my head talking to me, telling, you need to go that way instead of that way. And 9 times out of 10, like, it normally is a good idea. And it may not even be because there's a wreck or, you know, whatever else. I could just be like 5 minutes late for work. You know, it could be behind Sally Sue that's 95 years old, and bless her for still driving, you know.
You start pitting those people.
They are not speed bumps, okay?
I'm not saying they're speed bumps, but their car's going to go into a ditch.
Oh my gosh, don't be hostile.
It's not hostile. It's just defensive driving.
Point being, in those situations, like, I very much trust the voice in my head when I'm on the road. Like, 100%. Because that, like, freaks me the heck out. Especially since I have you and a small one. Like, my main goal, and I feel like I've said it in every episode that we've done, is to get back to you, my child, and all of our furries. Like, that is my main goal. And I don't care how it happens. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's like trusting that little subconscious in my head when I'm driving down the road is muy importante. Because there's a reason why she's sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that pretty much touches on everything. I don't have any more to add other than
No.
reiterating what's been said.
Yeah.
So,
It's not a 6
but
hour
yeah, that's
one.
no, it's only about an hour and 15, maybe hour and 20.
It's not bad.
Mm-mm. All right, guys. Well, I guess we will see you next week. Videos are going to start becoming like regular. We had a couple that I had ready to put up, but threw out because quality was garbage, or YouTube said,
No,
"Yeah,
thank
you're
you.
not putting this up." But yeah, from last episode to this one, moving forward, it's going to be pretty smooth and consistent. So we will see you next week for the next episode.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Bye.